Today we are going to be talking about the different natural wild animal habitats that we have on the farm, to include some badgers, foxes, squirrels, insects and lots more that live all around us. You may even have some living in your garden, near where you live, or maybe even at school. And it is really important that we identify the different animals in which we are surrounded by in order to protect and be thoughtful about their different habitats. Hopefully today, by showing you where some of these different species live, you will know what to look out for and to identify them yourselves. Back in the spring, when we'd let our lambs out to graze, we spotted several foxes in amongst the sheep, and this was actually a vixen with 2 cubs, and she'd gone back into the fox's earth, which is shown here. They've cleared out a lot of the earth from the area and make quite a large opening for them to go into. If you've ever seen a bug box, or maybe you've even made one yourself, this is a brilliant natural bug box created by a rotting tree trunk. The small holes made by the rot and by the pecking of small birds and wildlife, it's formed a brilliant insect-infested habitat all by itself. There's lots of little bits of activity that you can see just in there. So this is quite a good example of a badger set and its sort of progression throughout the years. There's a lot of dormant holes that aren't in use anymore, but you can tell this is a hole that will still be in use. As you can see, sort of clear mud that they've been sort of tracking in and out of the hole. Especially you'll find badger sets under like tree roots or where a tree's fallen, because they tend to like using the natural sort of holes and runs that are created by the roots underground. So this follows all the way up in this sort of mossy area through the wood. Again, you can see them sort of where they've marked scratching the moss, probably for looking for insects and things. And this carries down all the way down along past these few trees along here. The shape of a badger set is always a flat bottom with a rounded top, and this is a brilliant example of that really obvious D shape, a capital D, upside down, flat on the bottom and round on the top. This is one of the smaller holes, but as you can see it's still in use due to the fact you can see this sort of dry, clean mud coming out of the set. And this next hole is one that won't have been used very recently. As you can see, it's covered with leaves. A great habitat for insects, and mainly woodlouse, is dry, barky areas, mainly on fallen trees or logs that have dried. Underneath the first layer of bark, you'll find the woodlouse living there.
This is a beech woodland surrounded by some quite mature lime trees, which is a perfect habitat for the grey squirrel.
Here the stream runs down through the farm, through all the woodland, and this, especially at this time of year, creates lots of boggy, damp areas in which it can prevent further flooding further on down the stream. This also creates a fantastic habitat for a whole range of insects. And this, most points of the year is really icy cold water, which is also a good water source for lots of animals. Whilst hunting for signs of wildlife, we came across this.
This is something that we quite often find, and it's probably fortunate that this has fallen in the wood, because if this had fallen into the grass field, a calf would almost certainly have picked this up and chewed it and possibly choked. And it's sad to say that someone's seemingly innocent celebrations could have led to tragedy.
This is some little areas that we were coming across in the woodland floor where the muntjac have been scraping the leaves away to expose these new shoots growing that they will nibble on and eat, as they're very nutritious for them.
Here's a brilliant place for a tawny owl to roost. As you can see, the beech tree behind it inside is all hollowed out. It's an absolute classic roost there, and the wood in front of it, the forest floor, is a perfect place for it to hunt mice and small mammals.
And last but not least, we've got the rabbits. This is a fresh hole that's been dug in the last few days, and as you can see, some droppings leading into the hole. Back in the summer, we witnessed something quite exciting. We were able to capture a wild rabbit that lived in the chicken run, digging up her 4 young, which included 2 little black rabbits, and she actually then buries them over to keep them safe, and she would then return to feed them at different points throughout the day. And then a few weeks later, once the bunnies had been coming out and about of their little hole, they were seen quite often underneath the chicken run. This is the little black one, one of the 2, and they used to play underneath and come out and see us in the day. So what we thought you might like to do as an activity is to grab an A4 piece of paper and draw out your ideal habitat for all these different woodland creatures and the different animals that we've identified today in their natural habitats, and see in your A4 space what sort of habitat you can build to house all these different creatures. So don't forget, the badgers will want plenty of trees to burrow underneath. The rabbits will want some nice soft soil to burrow into, and the birds will want some lovely trees to nest in, and yeah, lots of different things to look at and go over in the video to remind yourself of all the different habitats that are required.